Now if you notice, I'll clean the needle constantly without, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm looking at my next line, where my next line is going to go. So it kind of becomes a habit. Make sure that you be careful if you have a 0.2 needle, one of the finer needles or a micron airbrush, when you do that, because you don't want to grab onto a needle and clean it with your fingertips, because there's a good chance you could bend it. Now if you're doing this with a stencil, you have the stencil laid down. Still spray, leaving the center of the leg light, because if you look, a lot of the centers of the legs are light. And then take the stencil off, then come back in and freehand as much as you can. Try to get that freehand look. Like I said, you want to preserve all your whites. Make sure you get the knuckles drawn in right. Spend time drawing in all the knuckles so it looks like it has the articulation it needs. Now if you're real shaky with your hands and airbrushing, try to leave your hands resting up against the surface. Don't try to sit there and hold it away and freehand it. It gives you a lot more control if you hold your hand up against the panel. Now since this would look bad if it had a real big bump in it, if you have to, go ahead and leave your stencil up and work your stencil doing all your dark lines. If you have shaky hands, you're going to have to do more stencil work. It's not a bad thing. It's just, you know, it's whatever it takes for you to get what you need to do. We got 2 more legs to do, and then some white highlights, and then the shadow work. Now, depending on what type of spider you're doing, is going to depend on how hairy their legs are. The bodies are hairy. If you're doing like a tarantula, you'll have a whole bunch of hair. A lot of people do black widows, and they'll put the hourglass on their back, which is not the way it is. The hourglass is actually on the underneath of a spider. So black widows, you don't always know that they're black widows unless you're looking at the underneath of them. But there is like a red line. It's a black spider with a red back, I guess it's called a red back spider. And they have a actual, like a weird looking shape on the back that's red. But I guess it's, you know, you can sit there and do whatever you want. I mean, if you want to put, you got artistic license. If you want to put a diamond on it or hourglass on its back, then go for it. All right, make sure you get the reflection lines on the body. So we'll go back over this with white and kind of sharpen it all up and come back in with black again. Okay, now you can, when you're done with the black, you can clean out your airbrush and throw some white in it.